Sukey and the Mermaid by Robert D. Souci, illustrated by Brian Pinkney. Storytellers say this happened once upon a time on a little island off the coast of South Carolina. A girl named Sukey lived with her ma and steppa in a cabin with a sagging porch and a roof so rickety it let in sunshine or rain, depending on the weather. Every morning at day clean, Sukey would get up to sling her hoe at the weeds in the vegetable garden. If she stopped to fan herself with her wide straw hat, her step-pa would shout, "Sukey, don't you be skylarking!" The girl's mother called her new husband Mr. Jones, but Sukey had her own name for the bossy, do-nothing man. As her hoe rose and fell, she sang, "Mr. Hard Times, since you come, my ma don't like me, my work never done. Mr. Hard Times won't do a lick, just say work faster or whip you with the stick." One hot afternoon, when her steppa wasn't looking, Sukey threw down her hoe and took off. She ran through the woods of pine and palmetto and mossy oak, past dunes fringed with broom grass, to the beach of shining white sand. That was her secret getaway. She sat down, pulled off her hat, and unwound the white kerchief from around her head. The sea breeze cooled her burning face while she wriggled her bare feet deep to where the sand was wet and cold. She sang a little song she had heard somewhere. "Thee, thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." Suddenly a beautiful brown-skinned, black-eyed mermaid rose up in the water. Her hair, as green as seaweed, hung down to the mermaid's waist. Sunlight sparkled off the gold combs in her hair and the green scales of her fishtail. The girl was mighty frightened, but the mermaid said pleasantly, "How do you, my lady? You look so hot there in the sun. Come into the water and cool off." Now Sukey had heard folks warn, "Them mermen's got you and pull you beneath the water," she said. "No, missus, I can't swim." "I'll teach you to swim if you wish," the mermaid said. Then she added gently, "You have no reason to fear me, my lady. I came because your song called me." But Sukey would only wade along the water's edge while the mermaid dove under the waves and rose and dove again. Each time she brought Sukey something, a curious shell, or red and white coral, or bits of green and blue glass polished like jewels by the sea. When the sun began to set, Sukey cried, "Oh, I'm going to be whipped for sure. I clean forgot to feed the chickens and draw water from the river." "Give this to your folks," said the mermaid, pressing a gold coin into Sukey's hand, "and they won't scold you. But you must promise not to tell them about me. When you want to see me again, just come here and sing, 'Thee, thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe.'" Then Mama Joe disappeared beneath the waves. Sukey hurried home. At first her ma and pa yelled because she had not done her chores, but when she gave them the mermaid's coin, they stared in wonder. "Where'd you get this?" her ma asked. "On the edge of the water," said Sukey. "Well," said her steppa, "go off tomorrow to the water edge and see can you find some more of these." "I will," Sukey answered, happy to have more time to spend with the mermaid. After this, Sukey went to the shore every morning when the day was clean. The mermaid taught her to swim, and sometimes they dove through the water together. One day the two sat talking beside the waves. "Soon I'm going to leave this island and go over to the Main," said Sukey. "I'll live in a fine place like Beaufort or Charleston." "My home is below the sea, away from the world of men," said Mama Joe. "You could come with me if you want." "I don't think so," said Sukey. Before she dove under the waves at first dark, The mermaid would give Sukey one small gold coin. This the girl gave to her folks so her ma could buy meat and rice and flannel. But Mr. Jones spent most on Malafi whiskey that came by boat from the mainland. So things were not much better in the tumble-down cabin. Sukey's ma grew more and more curious to know where her daughter found the gold coins. One morning she followed Sukey to the shore. Hiding in the broom grass on a sand dune, she heard Sukey sing, "Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." The old woman watched in amazement as the girl and the mermaid swam in the ocean, and she saw the mermaid give Sukey one gold coin at the day's end. That night, while Sukey slept, her ma whispered to Mr. Jones about what she had seen. "If I catch that merman," her husband said, "I'll sell him on the Main for a pile of gold." Before day clean, as Sukey was sleeping, her ma and step-pa carried their canoe down to the shore. There the woman sang, "Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." When the mermaid rose up in the water, Mr. Jones chased her in the canoe. He flung his net at her, but the angry mermaid dove beneath the water. She did not come up again, though Sukey's ma sang the magic song over and over. At last, husband and wife gave up and went home, each blaming the other for what had happened. They said nothing to Sukey, who went to the shore as usual. But Mama Joe did not answer the girl's song that day or any day. Sukey grieved for her lost friend. Because there was no more gold, Mr. Jones made her hoe the garden, clean the house, and haul water until she took sick. Soon she grew so weak that she could barely get out of bed. But in a dream the mermaid visited her and said, "I'll come to you once more and take you to live with me beneath the sea. If you want this, go to the shore and sing, 'Thee, down below, take me down, Mama Joe.'" Though she was very tired and sickly, Sukey crept down to the shore while her ma and step-pa were away. There she sang softly, "Thee, down below, take me down, Mama Joe." To her joy, the mermaid rose up. She wrapped strands of her magical hair around Sukey so the girl could travel safely beneath the waves. Then they plunged into the ocean. The mermaid carried Sukey down through the water to her home in the seawall. Sukey found herself in a vast dry cave. All around her, mother of pearl glowed and filled the place with soft, warm light. Mama Joe said, "This is your home now. I will never scold you down here." For a while, Sukey was happy. The mermaid taught her sea songs and gave her strands of pearls and showed her a rusty chest filled with gold and jewels from a sunken pirate ship. In return, Sukey would amuse her friend with riddles she had learned. But after some length of time, the girl began to pine for the sound of human voices and the mockingbird's sweet song at day clean, for the scent of wild magnolias and jasmine, for the sky of delicious blue, dotted with clouds and gulls. She pleaded with Mama Joe, "Do carry me back home, missus." At first the mermaid said no, but touched by Sukey's tears, she said, "Very well. If you ask me a riddle I can't answer, I will take you home." So Sukey thought and thought. Finally she said, "There's something that walk all day, and when night comes she go under the bed and rest. What's that?" Mama Joe thought and thought, but she could not solve the riddle. "That's a shoe!" Sukey cried. She had picked the riddle because the mermaid had no feet, and Sukey was always barefoot. "I will carry you back to land," said Mama Joe with a sigh, "but time has passed in the world above while you have been with me." You are a grown woman now. Go to the pirate's chest and take a bag full of coins and jewels. This will be your dowry. When you return, many men will court you, but marry only the man named Dembo. If you choose another husband, your treasure will disappear." Then the mermaid wrapped her mossy hair around Sukey and brought her to shore. The young woman returned to the rickety cabin where she found her ma and step-pa. Sukey's ma had grown old, grieving for her lost daughter. She embraced Sukey with tears of joy. Mr. Jones had just grown meaner until he seemed only dry bones and bitterness. Seeing Sukey's treasure, he pretended to welcome her home. He hid his face in his hands as though he were crying too, but he couldn't squeeze one salt tear from his eyes. When the story got around that the young woman had brought a rich dowry, all the young men came courting her. But Sukey remembered the mermaid's warning and refused them all. Then, one day, a hard-working fisherman rowed across from the mainland to court her. "Name is Dembo," he said simply. Sukey studied his eyes and saw love and honesty and kindness in them. Though he was not as tall or handsome as the other suitors, she was happy with the man the mermaid had chosen for her. Sukey's ma and her neighbors planned a fine wedding, but Mr. Jones had other plans. "I'm gonna get that gold," he promised himself. The night before the wedding, while Sukey and her ma were away, the wicked man struck Dembo dead and stole the treasure. No one saw him do the deed, so he hid the bag under his mattress. When Sukey discovered the crime, her grief was beyond measure. She ran to the seashore where she cried, "Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." The mermaid appeared, and Sukey told her unhappy tale. Then Mama Joe said, "This is the last time I will come to you. My lady, you must now choose forever between the world and the world of men. My world and the world of men. Think carefully. Below the sea is a gentle place without time or pain. Up here, hurt and hunger are never far away, and time is always ready to steal what little you have." But Sukey said, "I must have Dembo. Do bring my sweetheart back to me, and I won't bother you after this." Mama Joe dropped a seed pearl into the young woman's palm. "Set this on Dembo's lips," she told Sukey. Then, with a sad goodbye, my lady, she vanished beneath the waves. Sukey raced back to her cabin, where Dembo rested in a plain pine coffin. While her ma and other mourners looked on, she put the tiny pearl on Dembo's closed lips. Right away, life came into him again. Sitting up, he pointed to Mr. Jones and cried, "That's the one who hit me!" But the wicked man snatched the treasure bag and fled to the shore, pursued by Sukey, Dembo, and the others. Mr. Jones jumped into his canoe and paddled away. But as everyone watched, a single dark cloud formed above the boat. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The ocean beneath the cloud began to churn, and high waves swamped the canoe. In a moment, the angry water swallowed the boat and its passenger. Suddenly, the sky cleared and the sea calmed. Though they were sorry to have lost the mermaid's treasure, Sukey and Dembo were happy to have each other. They comforted Sukey's ma, who said, "Mr. Jones wasn't much, but he was all I had in this world." "You got us, ma," said Sukey, giving her a hug. "We'll all be getting along just fine now." The next day, the wedding went ahead as planned. Afterwards, Sukey took Dembo's hand and led him down to the shore. As the two sat on the beach, Sukey wriggled her toes deep in the white sand and felt something hidden there. Together, they dug up the lost treasure bag. At that moment, Sukey saw a flash of sunlight on green scales and gold combs far out to sea. She blew a kiss across the waves and heard sweet laughter in return. Storytellers say I step on a thing and the thing bends.